Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an amazing day. Today we're going to start the scenario, what if Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, was born in the Dragon Ball Z world? And before we begin, as always, I'm OG Brown Nerd. If you're a fan of all things Marvel, DC, anime, basically anything nerdy, hit subscribe because I talk about everything. Now, Peter Parker is a resident of West City. His parents died when he was little, and he lives with his Uncle Ben and his Aunt May. Growing up, Peter's life was difficult. He was constantly bullied until he was around 4 years old, when everything changed for him. He was tired of being bullied, and his uncle showed him reruns of the Budokai Tenkaichi tournaments. He witnessed Goku vs Jackie Chun, Goku vs Tien, and eventually Goku vs Piccolo. Feeling inspired, he decided to pursue martial arts alongside science. And when he was 14 years old, he graduated from the Spider Hermit School, learning the Spider Hermit techniques, granting him key abilities second to none. He felt truly unstoppable, and he began fighting for money against his Uncle Ben's wishes, who had always told him with great power comes great responsibility. One day, while visiting the neighboring farm to return some rotten fruits and vegetables for Aunt May, a strange sound echoed in the field. The farmer grabbed his shotgun and pursued the sound, asking Peter for help. It could be wild animals or bandits. However, the farmer was rude to Peter and wasn't taking the vegetables back, so Peter refuses to help. It's not his problem, he thinks, as he turns his back to the farmer. Little did Peter know, Uncle Ben also visited the farmer, unaware that Peter had already gone to confront him about the rotten vegetables. Peter begins walking home when suddenly he hears a gunshot, his spider sense tingling. Now here, Peter's spider sense is going to be an extremely heightened version of ki sensing, borderline precognition, and he rushes to the scene and finds Uncle Ben lying there before Raditz flies off. The farmer with the shotgun says he dove in front of the bullet, and Peter screams for him to get help. Uncle Ben gazes up at Peter, his dying words echoing, "With great power comes great responsibility." Had Peter stepped up, he could have saved his uncle. Peter internalizes this as Uncle Ben fades away, dying, and he begins pursuing Raditz, web-slinging his way throughout the city. He eventually sees Raditz and Piccolo talking, and as Raditz flies off, Peter webs himself to him. He immediately attacks, and the two begin their battle in the air at breakneck speeds. Peter's battle power is around 600, but the Spider Hermit School's final initiation is being bitten by a special spider. The special spider is the only one in existence. A bite increases the strength, speed, and durability, as well as all of the other senses. Just think of the fruit from Tree of Might meeting the Super Saiyan ant from DBZ Broly. Peter isn't just a human anymore. Their battle continues as eventually they crash land on Roshi's island with a big boom. Peter is bloodthirsty, continuing to fight as Raditz flings him into the house, temporarily knocking him out. Goku, Krillin, Roshi, and Gohan all look on confused. What the hell is happening? As Bulma goes to check on Peter. Raditz then scoffs. It seems the Earth has more to offer than useless old men and Namekians. He then turns his face to Goku, and Raditz is already pissed, so his explanation here is short and sweet. He's a Saiyan, he's come down for Kakarot, he knocks Krillin out and Goku down before fleeing with Gohan. Peter regains his bearings as he goes to face Raditz as he flies off again before Goku yells, "Wait!" Goku winces, he can't take him alone, and Peter is frantic, saying he killed his uncle, he didn't even give him a chance. Roshi steps up, noticing the distinct wrist holes associated with the Spider School. He's the first Spider-Man in over a century. His master Mutaita once faced one in combat, and he said he was the most ferocious fighter he'd ever seen. His agility was beyond words. Peter acknowledges Master Roshi. He is the new Spider-Man. He studied with Master Weaver as a boy, and when he was 14, he was chosen for the bite. He squandered his gifts. He could have helped. He could have stepped in. He could have saved his uncle. He could have helped the farmer, but instead, he begins to shed a tear. Goku, Krillin, and Bulma look on somber. This young kid has gone through so much, but Roshi offers his wisdom, saying that what his uncle said is true. With great power must come great responsibility, and right now they have to help Goku's son. Goku steps forward and asks Peter for his help to save his son, to use his power, but not for revenge. Piccolo then reveals himself and tells them that the three of them together, they have a shot. They can beat this alien, this Saiyan. Peter nods and he hops on the Nimbus as Goku and Piccolo fly. They land near Raditz and the battle begins. Goku notes how fast Peter's reflexes are. His battle power may be lower than all of theirs, but Raditz can't seem to touch him. It's like his body moves before his brain registers anything. Peter uses his web binding attack as Goku and Piccolo launch a special beam cannon and Kamehameha combo. With Raditz temporarily blinded and unable to sense ki, he's knocked out and down for the count. Peter is ready. He lifts Raditz up for the kill, but then Goku tells him not revenge. Peter drops Raditz, telling him to get off of this planet. Raditz, coughing weakly, tells them that this isn't over. He's going to be back with 2 more Saiyans. They'll be here in a year. They're stronger than him. They'll kill them all. Goku then shows Peter Gohan's 4-star Dragon Ball hat and says that they could gather the Dragon Balls to wish his uncle back. Raditz crawls into his ship, but his scouter heard everything, and he escapes to the Frieza Force planet Vegeta went to after the Saiyan saga. Peter holds the ball in reverence as he thanks Goku and Piccolo. Gohan smiles and says thank you for saving him, and Peter bends down and the 2 of them form their friendship. Roshi and the others arrive shortly after, and with the looming threat of the Saiyans alongside Goku being alive, they can begin training right away. Peter says that he can't let them come back and destroy the Earth. He'll wish for his uncle back once the threat is over. Bulma in the year ends up gathering the balls for Peter, and he goes to tell Aunt May what happened. She tells him to never forget his words again, and that when he comes back, he's going to be happy to know that Peter did good. During this year of training, Peter, Goku, Piccolo, and Gohan all go to the lookout. The Z Fighters all join them, and this is when the real craziness begins. Peter's Ki Sense and enhanced physical abilities make him extremely hard to hit despite his lower power level. On top of his Ki enhanced web attacks and completely unorthodox and unique fighting style, they can't seem to get a beat on him. Compared to the Turtle School and the Crane School, Peter's fighting is completely different. Peter's power begins to grow immensely as he is now exposed to the Turtle Hermit techniques, and he melds them into his own. He also works with Bulma to create special web blasters to focus his webbing into different sizes and shapes. He is a genius after all. Gohan is in awe of Peter. Not only is he a huge science nerd, but he's also a great martial artist, able to keep pace with Piccolo and Goku, his dad. The training yields incredible results as Peter's spider-enhanced metabolism gives him a healing factor. Nothing crazy, but allows him to recover from training much faster than everybody else. Now this causes everyone to push themselves to the max as well because Peter is constantly training. During the year, their power levels all skyrocket. Now Goku does not have the Kaioken or the Spirit Bomb, but with the gains he made alongside the Z Fighters and Peter, he's definitely not going down without a big fight. I would estimate he's around 10,000 with Piccolo around 8 and Peter around 6ish, with Gohan and the Z Fighters all around 4,000. During the year, Kami informs Peter that his uncle has been brought back to life. Bulma made the wish for him, seeing how hard he was working. Aunt May and Uncle Ben reunite, and Peter rushes home, and he immediately begs his uncle for forgiveness, but Uncle Ben tells him he saw Peter from Otherworld. He saw how hard Peter's been working, how strong he's gotten, and how he's embodied being Spider-Man, using his power to save the Earth. And he tells Peter to give those Saiyans hell. They continue their training, and the day of the attack arrives, and Peter, alongside the rest of the Z Fighters, senses the destruction the Saiyans caused when crashing down. Nappa destroyed an entire city without mercy. They quickly gather and raise their power levels, drawing Raditz, Vegeta, and Nappa towards them. You see, during that year, Raditz trained himself while waiting for Vegeta and Nappa to meet him on that Frieza Force planet. Along with the Zenkai he got from his near-death on Earth, Raditz is actually stronger than Nappa in this case. Vegeta steps forward and tells the warriors they are here for the Dragon Balls. If they surrender them now, they will leave this planet alone. Raditz is sneering, he's itching to go, and he calls out Goku and Peter. Kakarot, you will pay for your insolence, and you pathetic human, he points at Peter. You, I'm going to enjoy killing. Peter has to hold himself back. All he sees is Uncle Ben's killers, but his words ring true in his head. With great power comes great responsibility. Peter and Goku step forward, telling the Saiyans to leave the Earth now. They'll never surrender the Dragon Balls to them. Never. And this act of defiance is the last straw. As the battle is prepped to begin, Vegeta stares across at Peter and Goku and he mutters, telling Nappa and Raditz to destroy these fools so they can collect the Dragon Balls and leave this backwards planet. Nappa unleashes the Cybermen against the Z Fighters while Goku, Peter, and Piccolo battle against Raditz and Nappa. Yamcha, Krillin, Tien, Gohan, and Chiaotzu all have power levels around 3,000, and they're easily able to handle the Cybermen with no one dying this time. One of them tries to self-destruct bomb on Yamcha, but it fails as Yamcha's Wolf-Fang Fist launches the green monster skyward before it detonates. Now the rematch between Peter, Goku, Piccolo, and Raditz has a huge wrench thrown in as Nappa fights completely differently. His brutish power and lack of tactics is actually throwing everybody off. Peter uses his spider sense and effortlessly dodges Nappa, enraging him by webbing him in the face. He calls Nappa a stupid rhino, and Nappa, being the fool that he is, gets raged and charges at Peter. Now this allows Goku and Piccolo to face off against Raditz in a much more controlled manner, all thanks to Peter's quick thinking. And this allows the two of them to hold Raditz back despite his massive boost in strength. Raditz is fighting to kill, and he's confused as to how these low-level warriors and a Namekian is able to beat him. How? Just how? And then Goku begins talking, saying he's trained his whole life to become stronger. He doesn't care about how he was ranked when he was a baby. He's gonna be the strongest no matter what. Now Peter continues his verbal and physical assault against Nappa, utilizing his new web blasters to constantly assault Nappa's sight, and since Nappa can't sense ki, it opens him up to Peter's attacks. Various kicks and punches, Peter is effectively a lightning bolt, each connection tearing away at Nappa. His spider style is something completely unseen, as even Vegeta is stunned. He's never seen a warrior fight like this. His movements are so precise, yet at the same time they're primal, animalistic, and each blow is delivered with 100% power. If this was the Bakiverse, the narrator would go on about how a spider's strength is like 10x its body weight. That may or may not have been a tease for the next crossover. Peter knocks Nappa out with a web slingshot, shattering his body as he swings over to help Raditz and Piccolo. The three of them once again overwhelm Raditz as they knock him out cold. But now, before they even have a chance to engage in a conversation with Vegeta, he steps in and kills Nappa, and he launches a blast towards Raditz too, but Peter, he webs him out the way, saving his life. With great power comes great responsibility, and despite everything, Peter is a hero. They look at Vegeta, who scoffs, telling Peter saving a weakling like Raditz is useless. That strength is the only thing that matters in this world, and everything else is just a delusion for the weak. Peter, Goku, Piccolo tell the Z-Fighters to stay back, as Vegeta is simply too much for them. Vegeta tells them that if any of their underlings try to battle him, he'll kill them instantly. Our trio of heroes square up as they begin battling Vegeta, and his power is unlike anything they've felt. He's faster, stronger than Raditz, and he's more ferocious than Nappa. And without the Kaioken technique or Spirit Bomb, Goku stands no chance alone. However, Vegeta has the same weakness as Nappa. He cannot sense ki. Peter dodges and webs Vegeta's eyes, allowing for Piccolo and Goku to land devastating attacks. Piccolo then begins charging a special beam cannon while Goku leads the assault and Peter provides support. The three of them fight in sync, but it's not enough. Piccolo needs Vegeta to stand still, otherwise he won't be able to hit his attack. Peter decides to use a special attack, a new one he made up. He charges his ki, infusing it into his webs as he launches a web Kamehameha. His webbing infused sticks to Vegeta with the strength of a Kamehameha. He's effectively stuck in place, and this allows Piccolo the opportunity to land his special beam cannon. Vegeta shifts just enough to avoid a fatal shot, but in taking the hit, he's drastically weakened. Desperate, he shoots a powerball, hoping Great Ape will be enough to finish these pathetic lowlifes. The fact that they pushed him to Great Ape is enough to piss Vegeta off beyond recognition. Now the battle against Great Ape Vegeta causes the rest of the Z-Fighters to join the fray. They rush in as Peter screams for them to get back. He begins webbing Vegeta's legs as Goku and Piccolo try to use special attacks to knock him over. Yamcha and Krillin, immediately recognizing this form, yell for everybody to cut his tail off, but Vegeta is faster than they'd expect. He grabs Yamcha, smashing him into the ground, killing him instantly. Tien and Chaozu launch a solar flare as Great Ape Vegeta swings at them. They die, blinding Vegeta. Allowing Krillin to launch the Destructo Disc aimed at his tail, Peter webs and holds it alongside Goku and Piccolo, giving Krillin a straight shot as it slices through. Yajirobe scoffs, saying he was the one that was going to do that, but Krillin was faster. Vegeta begins reverting back into his ape form as he lands on top of Krillin, crushing him as well, and Gohan, witnessing the deaths of his friends, is enraged as he flies towards Vegeta like a rocket, connecting with his chest. Peter, Piccolo, and Goku all attack, finally putting him down as Peter webs him up for good this time. As Piccolo goes for the kill, Peter speaks up saying no, they can't kill him because they'd be just like him if he did. Goku agrees. If Tien, if Piccolo, if Yamcha, if they can all change, so can Vegeta, and they owe him that. It's their responsibility. Piccolo relents as Vegeta fails to tear himself free, and Raditz comes limping over as he aims a blast at Vegeta. Goku steps in front of his brother and tells him it's enough. Did he not just hear what he said? They let Raditz go despite everything. No more killing. Peter echoes this once again. Raditz reluctantly stands down. Only because Peter saved him he does this. He considers himself even with Peter. They begin mourning their friends as Raditz limps away, Tien, Yamcha, Chiaotzu, Krillin, but they can bring them back, the Dragon Balls, right? Peter's optimism is quickly reined in by Goku, who says he can't be brought back with the Dragon Balls. Krillin and Chiaotzu, they've been wished back already. They're dead forever. Peter refusing to accept this, as Piccolo mentions they called him a Namekian, implying that he's an alien. Peter's brain begins going into overdrive as he deduces that the Namekians must be capable of making Dragon Balls. Think about it, Kami's life is directly connected to the Dragon Balls, he's the creator of them. What if all Namekians can create Dragon Balls? It makes so much sense, doesn't it? If they can find the planet full of Namekians, they can use their Dragon Balls to revive their friends. All they have to do is ask Shenron to teleport them there, and then they'll ask the dragon on Namek to bring them back. Peter's enthusiasm begins shining through and everybody begins to feel a little bit of hope once again. Because yeah, Piccolo's alive, the Earth has its Dragon Balls, they can totally do this. Peter immediately discusses his plans with Bulma and she also concurs. This plan logically makes the most sense, and with Piccolo alive, the Earth has the Dragon Balls. Piccolo mentions that Kami is nearing towards the end of his life anyways, meaning that Piccolo will probably die soon, but there's a different way they can handle that. They make preparations to leave right away, but as Bulma summons Shenron, Raditz appears. He tells his brother and Peter that he is not here to fight. He pulls out his scouter and plays for him the Frieza Force's latest orders to go to the planet Namek and to capture Dragon Balls. How did they even know about that? Did Raditz tell them? And then Raditz explains that their scouters are two-way communicators, constantly recording and sending data back to the headquarters. Frieza, he knows everything. Peter then says it doesn't matter, they'll go to Namek and steal the balls first with Bulma's dragon radar, but then Raditz cuts in, saying no, Frieza's power level is beyond them, it's beyond all of them, even if he stops himself. Goku just tells Raditz to say it, because he's desperate, they'll do anything at this point, and Raditz says even if Vegeta joined them, there would be nothing against Frieza. The thought of Vegeta joining them hadn't even crossed their minds, but the fact that Raditz, someone who wanted to kill Vegeta less than a week ago, is suggesting this just shows what a threat Frieza really is. Peter and Goku are shocked. How powerful is he? But wait, if he's on Namek, then what kind of wish would he make if he's that powerful? What could he possibly want? The thought sent chills down their spines. What the hell can they do? When they decide to try and steal the balls from Frieza anyways, they tell Shenron to send them to the planet Namek, but then Shenron informs them the planet Namek is gone. Frieza, he must have blown up the planet. The Earth's Dragon Balls have to be summoned in a special way. Not everyone knows how to, so maybe the Namekian Dragon Balls are the same. Peter questions, disbelieving Frieza would really blow up a planet if he couldn't get his hands on the Dragon Balls? And Raditz undoubtedly says yes. They quickly realize that Earth must be Frieza's next stop. They know Piccolo is Namekian, and he may be the only Namekian left in the universe. Earth would be his next shot to get Dragon Balls. Now everybody's in full-on panic mode. What the hell do they do? With Namek destroyed by Frieza, the first thought that Peter has is to just wish the planet back. But before he can, Raditz tells him it won't matter. Frieza will use his scouters and go back immediately. It'll just be a waste of time and Namek will be destroyed all over again. Peter begins racking his brain for a solution and then he realizes. He asks Shenron to delay Frieza's army, making sure they can't reach the Earth to buy them some time. Shenron obliges and Frieza's ships all suffer catastrophic damage, leaving them stranded in the void of space. And with all their equipment destroyed, they have no idea where to go, so Frieza can't just fly off to Earth. Now Shenron's bought them around 1 month at best, and Raditz says there's no way they'll be able to get strong enough in a month. It's impossible. Especially with this planet's pathetic gravity. If it was like their home planet, Planet Vegeta's 10 times stronger, then maybe they'd have a chance, and this is why the Earthlings are so weak and why Frieza will have an easy conquest. Peter, Bulma, and Dr. Briefs quickly get to work on an artificial gravity chamber, and between the three of them, they have it up and running in a week. Desperation fuels innovation, and with Peter's genius and Bulma's genius and her wealth, it's impossible to stop them. But before they begin their training, Peter and Goku know they need more help. If Frieza is as strong as they say, they need Vegeta. They go to his recovery room where he lays incapacitated, his body slowly healing, and they explain the situation. Vegeta laughs brokenly. They'll never win, but Peter tells them that they have a gravity chamber, and between the Saiyans, him, and Piccolo, they might have a shot. Remember, Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, and Chiaotzu are all dead at this point. Goku pulls out a Senzu bean and tells him that this will heal his injuries. Now he can die for his pride, or he can help stop Frieza and experience true freedom. Vegeta accepts it and a tentative alliance is formed. Vegeta and Raditz have straight up beef. Neither are redeemed, although Raditz is closer to neutral than evil, and Vegeta just wants Frieza gone so he can take over. The training commences and Peter and Goku lead the charge. Their goal is simple: to get as strong as possible in the time they have. Now, thanks to Namek Saga's natural power creep, with Goku in 1 week going from like 7,000 power to over 100,000, with over 3 weeks and multiple sparring partners, alongside Korin's Senzu beans, everyone's gonna get a giant buff. Goku, Raditz, and Vegeta lead the charge with battle powers of 300,000 each. Peter is around 250,000 alongside Gohan and Piccolo. And the Z Fighters have been training on King Kai's planet, their power levels rising steadily, just waiting to be wished back. Now they absolutely do not stand a chance against Frieza at this point, but his army is absolutely going to get decimated. And now a quick explanation on how Peter's Spider Sense works. It's essentially akin to the lower version of UI Omen. His body automatically dodges as soon as he senses this danger. Now think of his ki like a spider web, and any movement triggers it. It's kind of like echolocation and ki sense combined, so even if someone lowers their power, the movements of their body in the air, the fluctuations, they're still registered, and it's a great and powerful ability that Peter works on mastering. Now in the midst of a training session, they sense a massive energy approaching the Earth. It's Frieza and King Cold? You see, while his ships got destroyed in space, King Cold had no choice but to join up with his son to bring his army to the Earth. The fighters quickly get ready as they eat the last of their Senzu beans and rush into the desert. Vegeta uses his scouter to broadcast his locations, and the army descends down. With Frieza in the dark, Vegeta and Raditz step forward, trying to play a game of deception, with Frieza buying some time for everybody to get into position. Frieza laughs, saying the two of them couldn't conquer one little planet, and Vegeta grits his teeth and says there was a complication. The Earth has wish orbs, and if they destroyed the planet and killed this Namekian, the orbs would vanish. They were trying to barter a deal for the Dragon Balls. Frieza furrows his eyebrows, if he has any, and says, "A deal, huh? It's quite a coincidence they have the last Namekian, considering Frieza visited their sickly planet in search of the Dragon Balls." The elders there were stubborn, so he wiped the planet out, and then he looks at Goku and notices Gohan. Why didn't Vegeta mention this planet also had a Saiyan on it? In fact, that monkey, he points to Goku, looks eerily familiar. King Cold laughs, looks like the monkeys do always stick together. As they laugh, Peter yells now, signaling the attack, and Goku launches a solar flare, while Peter, Gohan, and Piccolo begin dismantling Frieza's army. Goku, Vegeta, and Raditz square off against Cold and Frieza. The Saiyans power up and the Scouters all break, their true battle power unknown, and while Vegeta lands a knee on Frieza, Frieza immediately understands the danger he's in. Raditz and Goku land attacks on Cold, and he's hurt even worse than Frieza. What the hell is happening? These monkeys shouldn't be that strong. It's impossible. They can't be Super Saiyans, can they? Piccolo and Gohan tell Peter to go help the Saiyans as Peter webs over, facing off against King Cold. Goku and Vegeta face off against Frieza while Raditz and Peter battle together, side by side. Vegeta and Goku's combined attack actually managed to do devastating damage to Frieza, but being the monster that he is, he creates distance and begins powering up into his final form. While he's transforming, Peter manages to trick Cold into getting hit by Raditz's double Sunday. His reflexes and speed are something unseen. Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, and Chiaotzu watch from King Kai's planet as their friends battle relentlessly. Peter manages to knock King Cold out cold with a spider web zip attack, but before he can web him up, Raditz kills him as Peter yells, "No!" Raditz scoffs and shoves Peter, saying it was kill or be killed, and Peter refuses to see it that way as they rush over to Goku and Vegeta. Now Piccolo and Gohan have beaten the Frieza Force army, but they're not going to be much help in this fight against Frieza. Besides, they have to keep Piccolo alive. If he dies, then there's no chance anyone can come back. They need him alive to wish back the planet Namek. Frieza unveils his final form as Vegeta, Goku, Raditz, and Peter stand ready. They wouldn't normally stand a chance against him, but with the damage that Goku and Vegeta managed to do to him, they have a chance. Peter uses his webs repeatedly to blind Frieza as he can't sense ki, and this allows for Goku, Vegeta, and Raditz to land heavy blows to his body. However, as soon as Frieza realizes their strategy, he targets Peter, and he manages to outspeed the Spider Sense. Peter, for the first time in a long time, is unable to dodge attacks as he begins taking damage. Frieza knocks all of them down as he stands before them, and then he looks up to Gohan and Piccolo before chuckling. He destroyed all the Saiyans, and yet they still managed to add to their population. Tisk, tisk, tisk. He then looks at Piccolo. He's going to add to his list of extinct races. Now say goodbye, Namekian. He shoots a death beam at Piccolo, but Gohan dives in front of it this time. Gohan is pierced, and Goku and Peter scream out as they fly over. Peter tries his best to help Gohan out by sealing his wounds, but he's gone already. Vegeta and Raditz try to catch Frieza off guard as Peter and Piccolo join the fray, their rage palpable. Goku holds his son as his silent rage becomes an anguished cry. The earth begins trembling and the aura begins changing. We all know what's about to happen, as he screams out in a way that only a father who lost his son could. Goku has transformed into the Super Saiyan of legend, his golden aura bursting out of him. His eyes, though, they're gone. He's lost in rage. Goku lunges forward like a lightning bolt, landing a massive blow into Frieza's stomach. Peter quickly webs Frieza up, preventing him from escaping as he charges all of his ki into his web, draining his life to bind the tyrant. Raditz and Vegeta begin supporting Goku's assault as they rain down ki blasts, and Piccolo, through his tear-filled eyes, charges a special beam cannon. The battle's at its crux as Goku's rage-filled screams fill the air as he lands blow after blow, his power going nuclear. Frieza goes into 100% of his final form, not giving in. They're gonna destroy the Earth at this rate, but Goku doesn't care as he continues fighting, digging deeper into the primal Saiyan rage. Vegeta and Raditz continue blindsiding Frieza as Peter slams Frieza's eyes shut with a massive web bind. His entire face covered as Goku unleashes an angry Kamehameha alongside Piccolo's special beam cannon. Raditz and Vegeta quickly join in with their own special attacks as they launch the tyrant into space, essentially destroying him. Or so they think. Goku's rage eventually calms down as he collapses, his body broken, but his heart is shattered as he cradles Gohan. He then hears Gohan's voice from Otherworld saying he's gonna go train with King Kai while they wait for the Dragon Balls, and that he's so proud of his dad for saving the Earth again. And now the Android saga is about to get crazy because everybody's dead and Trunks is about to arrive soon, and Frieza may or may not be dead. With the Earth safe, Peter and Goku focus on reviving the Z Fighters, but they have to wait months to bring everybody back. First they gotta bring back the planet Namek, then they gotta bring back the Z Fighters. And in the months waiting for the Dragon Balls, future Trunks arrives. Trunks lands in the outskirts of West City and he's confused. What the hell? Where's King Cold? Where's Frieza? They should be here already. He should sense them at least. Peter was in the city swinging around saving lives with his powers when he sensed this weird energy spike. His ki sense flared and he swung over to Capsule Corp. Goku, Vegeta, and Raditz were using the gravity chamber and Goku's been training harder than ever since the death of Gohan and his power exploding as a Super Saiyan. Raditz and Vegeta want to attain this form from themselves, and Vegeta's motivations are purely selfish in this scenario at this point. Knowing that Kakarot is a Super Saiyan and he's not just pisses him off, much like Kanon. And also like Kanon, he ends up hooking up with Bulma, being attracted to her fiery spirit. Peter enters the chamber and asks if they sense that massive power, and they all nod as they decide to fly off and go see what's happening. When they arrive, all they see is Trunks looking around confused, but Trunks looks at them shocked. Wait, Goku's on Earth already? His eyes widen when he sees Peter and he rushes over hugging him. And Peter, never being one to shut down a free hug, hugs him back before asking who Trunks is. Trunks wipes a tear from his eye and he begins explaining about his future, how he came back in time to stop the androids that ruined it. Peter, Gohan, and Trunks were the last line of defense left, and Peter helped Bulma build the time machine, but the androids attacked before he could fly away. Peter was fighting them 2-on-1 before Trunks left, and he was going to return back to that exact moment in time to help out. He sheds a tear as he said he already failed Gohan, and he's not going to fail everyone. He's the only hope for his future. Just then, they sense a massive evil energy on the way to Earth. Frieza? But it can't be. The Saiyans and Peter are all ready themselves, but Trunks says this isn't how it's supposed to go down. Frieza's energy is way higher than he expected and much more evil. Frieza descends down in an all-new black form. You see, while he was drifting in space, he collided with a meteorite filled with a symbiote. The creature bound itself to Frieza, healing his wounds and amplifying his power to a completely different level. Frieza launches a black ki blast infused with the symbiote's tendrils as he captures Peter first. Trunks goes Super Saiyan and Goku joins him as the two begin an all-out attack on Black Frieza. Vegeta and Raditz, not wanting to be outdone, begin charging their ki, trying their hardest to get that back tingling that'll help them ascend into Super Saiyan. Symbiote Frieza is an absolute menace and he has no discernible blind spots. The symbiote blocks attacks from anywhere, even if Frieza can't see. He lands a massive gut punch on Goku, temporarily knocking him out of Super Saiyan. Goku collapses to his knees, but his rage is still unstoppable. Frieza killed his son, he killed his friends, and now it's time to pay. Goku powers up to a different level as him and Trunks begin trying their best to hold off Frieza. Peter manages to break free and jumps in, webbing Frieza's face, but that won't work anymore because Frieza doesn't need his eyes to see. He begins easily fighting the three of them, the symbiote moving his body out of harm's way and deflecting attacks. He shoots his own version of webbing right at Peter. He's downright a menace. Raditz and Vegeta begin raging as they push their bodies, their screams echoing loud, amplified by their ki. They're digging deep, finding the reserves of power they need to ascend into Super Saiyans. Each agonizing scream, a testament to their unyielding will. Peter gets knocked behind them, and as Frieza lunges in, he suddenly freezes, holding his ears. The noise, the yelling, it's hurting him? The symbiote reacts violently to the noise, lashing out, and Peter quickly tells Goku and Trunks to surround him and yell as they amp their power up. The Saiyans surround Frieza as they all begin roaring in his face. Their voices boom as it's amplified by their ki, surrounding Frieza and weakening him slowly but surely. The symbiote begins separating from Frieza and the four Saiyans continue screaming at the top of their lungs, their energy pouring out, vibrating the earth itself. Peter webs onto Frieza, yanking him away from the symbiote as the black goo falls and quickly crawls away, vanishing for its own survival. Trunks then proceeds to make sushi out of Frieza before all the Saiyans blast him into Earth's hell. The symbiote has escaped, but Peter theorizes it'll probably need a host or it'll die. But what Peter doesn't know is, now that the symbiote has absorbed Frieza's DNA, whoever bonds with it next will be even more powerful. Vegeta and Raditz flicker through the Super Saiyan form, but they just aren't able to transform just yet. They collapse on their knees as Trunks tells them that he will help them train to master the form. Even Goku's version of Super Saiyan needs refinement. Trunks will teach them. He learned a lot for future Gohan and future Peter. You see, because after he became a Super Saiyan, future Peter ran tests on him to help him get stronger because he was the last Saiyan left. And the first lesson they realized is that the power comes in response to a need, not a desire. Peter called it adaptive evolution. Current Peter looks like a light bulb just went off in his head. Of course, when Frieza killed Gohan, Goku's body reacted in the most primal way. His energy skyrocketed and he evolved, transforming into a Super Saiyan. He then looks at Raditz and Vegeta. They need to let go of the want, otherwise they'll never be able to evolve. Trunks then questions what they meant by Gohan dying, and then Goku explains that during their battle with Frieza on Earth previously, Gohan died, along with the other Z fighters. Trunks says that the timelines are already different. He must have fractured history when he jumped back and changed everything. Goku says that they were going to wish Gohan, Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, and Chiaotzu back as soon as the Dragon Balls were almost ready, but then they hear a voice from King Kai's planet. It's actually Gohan talking to his dad. He tells them that they've heard everything. King Kai explained to them about the androids and they want to stay in Otherworld to train for them, and to wish them back in 3 years before the androids attack. He then tells Goku he's going to try to become a Super Saiyan himself. King Kai thinks he can help him. And the Z fighters are all eager. King Kai just taught them the Kaioken, and there's so many great fighters in Otherworld that they want to learn more techniques so they can be more useful in the battles to come. Goku accepts this, though how is he going to tell Chi-Chi? He's already getting crap for letting Gohan die, and Gohan tells Goku he already talked to Chi-Chi. She's mad, but she'll be okay. He promised her he'd study in Otherworld. Peter, while scanning the battlefield, finds a sample of the symbiote, and he decides to take it in order to study it. Now, during the 3 years of training for the androids, a lot of changes are going to happen. Peter bonds with the symbiote and it boosts his powers tremendously. He also figures out a way to use it as a transformation, keeping it hidden away in case of emergency. He doesn't want to rely on it too much because when he goes all out, he feels the nefarious mark Frieza left on the alien psyche. He feels himself losing control. Raditz, Goku, and Vegeta all mastered the Super Saiyan form under the tutelage of future Trunks. Peter continues honing his skills and his power rises continuously as he pushes his potential as Spider-Man. And when he activates his symbiote power, he is actually able to keep pace with the Super Saiyans. But every time he does, even in sparring, he feels Frieza trying to take over. And just like they promised, prior to the android's attack, Peter and Goku wish back the planet Namek, and with all the wishes they have and all the upgrades made to the Dragon Balls, everyone's able to come back. Piccolo decides to fuse with Kami, and they decide that since they wish the planet Namek back, they could probably bring another Namekian in to replace the role of Kami. The Namekians owe the Earthlings a lot, it's their Dragon Balls that brought their planet back after all. And with the Z-Fighters united and alive, the reunion is beautiful. Gohan hugs his father and mother, and Goku smiles at Gohan, saying he's gotten stronger. Tien, Yamcha, Chiaotzu, Krillin, they all have mastered the Kaioken and Spirit Bomb techniques from King Kai. They've also learned a lot of interesting techniques from Otherworld. These androids genuinely do not stand a chance. But little do they know, Dr. Gero has programmed his androids with data he's been taking from the Z-Fighters, and his last entry was when Frieza came to Earth with the symbiote. And all these timeline and time travel shenanigans have resulted in Gero creating the ultimate organism. Project Cell is going to be the culmination of Gero's life's work, and it's going to include DNA from everybody. Android 17 and 18 in this scenario also have something called the Spider Slayer Protocol, programmed with techniques that counteract Spider-Man's abilities. The day of the android attack comes, and Peter actually has a device to track down electronic signatures so the Z-Fighters can find the exact location of the androids before they kill anybody. Now, one thing here is there's not going to be any heart virus arc. Because of the training that Goku went through over the past 3 years at Super Saiyan, he already had his heart virus scare and he ended up recovering. So he's at full strength, and with there being 4 Super Saiyans, Gero and Android 19 don't stand a chance. The Z-Fighters take them out the city and bring them to the secluded desert, and it's Vegeta and Goku who step up first. Peter stays back with Trunks and Raditz, and Trunks actually mentions to Peter that something is not right. These aren't the androids that destroyed his future, but then Peter tells him not to worry. Because of time travel, they might look a little bit different. Trunks accepts this because he already knows how time travel can affect everything, and it kind of makes sense. Little do the Z-Fighters know, not only has Gero built in Spider Slayer protocols into each android, he actually built a specific android to destroy Peter after studying his powers. As the battle begins, the Saiyans suddenly hear a sinister laugh that echoes throughout the field. Peter's spider sense goes off as a bunch of pumpkin bombs begin decimating the field. Wait, a new android appears? The Green Goblin on a glider that slices through Peter's webbing, negating his web attacks. As Peter leaps and tries to stick to the glider, he slides off. The material repels him. Goblin then punches Peter, staggering him immediately. This android is the perfect match against Peter's powers. Goku gets momentarily distracted trying to help Peter, but in this moment, Gero rushes away. Vegeta manages to finish off Android 19 before flying off to find Gero. The Z-Fighters join him, but Trunks, Raditz, and Gohan stay behind to help Peter. The Goblin manages to hold them all off. His technique is something different, a fusion between Peter's spider style and something else. The Scorpion style? It's the perfect counter to Peter's movements. Green Goblin also uses corrosive acid blasts to keep the fighters from helping Peter. Gohan tries to power through, but he ends up getting badly burned on one arm. Raditz and Trunks try to cover Peter, but Goblin launches a massive ki-infused missile at them, blowing them both back. Peter is at the end of his rope, and hearing Gohan's cry of pain, he decides it's time. He activates the symbiote suit, and his rage-filled cry fills the battlefield as he lunges towards the Goblin. Now immediately the gloves are off because the symbiote's webs are more durable. It allows Peter to get close so he can wail on the android. Peter's attacks are absolutely devastating, and the first thing he goes for is the glider. Negating the Green Goblin's mobility is the priority. Peter lifts the glider overhead and begins to slice the Goblin in half, not caring about any redemption. He absolutely destroys him, and Gohan catches the sinister smirk on Peter's face before he turns, justifying his actions, saying it's just an android. And Gohan's worries grow as Peter decides to keep the symbiote suit on. He widens the field of his android tracking device and sees 3 concentrated signatures as well as a 4th running towards them. Gero must have slipped past Vegeta and the others, so they fly over, flaring their ki so the Z-Fighters can join them. And as soon as Goku sees Gohan's arm, he gives him a Senzu Bean, healing it. Peter's aggression takes over once again as he blasts into Jiro's lab, webbing him up before he can do anything. But Jiro shouts a command, activating 17 and 18. Trunks then yells that these are the androids that destroys his future, and Peter wastes no time as he begins battling them both. Jiro then tries to rush downstairs to activate Cell early, but Vegeta blows him and the lab up. Peter roars as he lunges at 17 and 18. Unfortunately, Android 16 never got woken up and was destroyed when Vegeta blew up the lab. Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, and Raditz join Peter against the true androids, but wait, it's not enough? Android 18 alone manages to hold off Trunks and Vegeta with little to no difficulty? How is this possible? With the biodata from Symbiote Frieza, Jiro adjusted the android's strength exponentially, and since he knew about the Super Saiyan form this time, the androids were prepared. The androids are all one level up from each of the fighters, but the Z fighters aren't pushovers in this scenario. Remember, they spent over 3 years with King Kai training. Krillin launches in with a Kaioken times 100 attack and punches 17. Vegeta could barely even register Krillin's speed. What the hell? Tien and Yamcha then agree it's time to bring out their ultimate technique as they fuse, bringing Tianxia to the party. With Krillin and Tianxia in the battle, 17 and 18 quickly consolidate, going back to back. This is going to be harder than they thought. However, despite the obvious advantage the Z fighters have, Peter's been in symbiote form for too long and he begins lashing out, breaking through the fighters' attack. He turns on his own teammates, lashing out, distracting them. He roars once again as he launches a massive attack, blinding everyone for a moment and allowing the androids to quickly escape. Goku and Gohan approach Peter as his face begins morphing into something monstrous, and they tell him to calm down, to let the symbiote go. He's been in this form for too long. Peter is about to claw Gohan's face, and he realizes this as he de-transforms, the symbiote returning to its small containment device. He collapses to his knees, heaving. Each time he uses the suit, his power goes into overdrive, but so does his rage. Frieza's psyche left a lasting impression on the symbiote. His malice infects Peter each time, turning him into something he's not, something venomous. The Z fighters quickly begin tracking the androids as Gohan asks Peter if he's okay, but then Bulma calls, and she tells them that she needs Trunks to go check out a weird report. She sends Peter a picture, and it's another time machine. What the hell? Peter and Trunks break off and fly to the time machine while the other Z fighters chase 17 and 18, eventually finding them on an isolated island. Raditz and Vegeta want to fight and they want payback against Android 18, but Tianxia claims 17. Piccolo, Gohan, Goku, and Krillin stand by as support, but little do they know, Cell is already on the island, waiting, biding his time. He decides that 17 is going to be his first target because he knows that Tianxia is going to wipe the floor with him. Meanwhile, Trunks and Peter realize something is definitely wrong. This is Trunks' time machine, but the chrono date suggests that this ship has been here for over 3 years? That it originated in the future, came back to the past, went back to the future, and then came back to the past again? This machine has been here as long as Trunks has been, and it looks like the return date is actually when Trunks was planning to go back. As they investigate, they then see a larva-looking carcass thing. What the hell is happening here? Peter detects faint android signals from this husk, and then he realizes. Peter and Trunks rocket back to Jiro's lab, hoping to find something in the rubble. Peter manages to recover a hard drive from the basement that Vegeta destroyed, where Jiro was last headed. He hooks it up to his wrist gauntlet, and he opens up a file, Project Cell. His eyes widen in horror as he reads the details of this bio-android. This was going to be an amalgamation of all the Z fighters, including Frieza and the symbiote. They have to warn the others now. This version of Cell must have been from Trunks' future. One where the androids won and the Z fighters all died, including Trunks. But it's already too late to warn them because Tianxia begins powering up to his final form. He activates a Kaioken times 10 while fused and begins dismantling Android 17. He ends his barrage with a Neo Spirit Tri-Beam and knocks 17 out cold. And just as he turns to go help Vegeta and Raditz take out 18, Imperfect Cell leaps into action, absorbing 17 and becoming semi-perfect. Tianxia diffuses, and the power coming from semi-perfect Cell is obscene. Remember, no one has gotten into the time chamber at this point. Raditz and Vegeta are barely holding their own against 18. They are vastly outmatched in this scenario. And remember, Cell here is different as well. Jiro replicated the symbiote from Frieza's DNA, and he transformed it into something menacing. And once Cell becomes perfect and absorbs Android 18, Carnage is gonna be had. By the time that Peter and Trunks land with all the information they need, it's already too late. Semi-perfect Cell is born, and he's walking towards Android 18 with a menacing gleam in his eyes. Peter activates his symbiote suit once again, his rage in overdrive as he commands everybody to stop fighting and focus on Cell to hold the line. He cannot get 18. He doesn't wait for 18 to respond. He webs her and flings her away as they all face imperfect Cell, marches towards the Z fighters, and 18 remains frozen in the air as Peter yells at her to escape. He tells Krillin, Yamcha, and Tien to get her out of here now. Peter rushes in as Cell chuckles. The symbiote Gero warned him about. Peter begins desperately landing shots as Vegeta, Goku, Gohan, and Trunks all back him up, but it doesn't matter. Cell opens his mouth and lets out an agonizing scream as Peter loses control of the symbiote and it withdraws back inside of him. You see, Gero equips Cell with a special frequency to disrupt symbiotes. He tail whips Peter, knocking him into the fighters, and blasts off after Android 18, tracking her down with relative ease. Krillin, Tien, and Yamcha try their best to hold him off, but it doesn't matter. Cell grabs Android 18. He absorbs her and begins screaming as he grows larger and perfect. Perfect Cell then looks at the Z fighters before chuckling, and he raises his fingers up to end them, but Peter, Goku, and Vegeta rush down, all dressed in black? No, wait, Symbiote Goku and Vegeta join the battle, the alien driving their Saiyan rage into unbearable levels as they roar and rush Cell. Cell opens his mouth to do the same cry as before, but Peter quickly webs his mouth shut and Peter allows Venom to take over, fully fusing himself with the symbiote. Venom Peter loses control and begins pummeling Cell as he keeps his mouth shut. Goku and Vegeta keep landing hit after hit on Cell and they're actually damaging him. The symbiote power boost is absolutely insane. Their energy takes on a purplish hue as they begin transforming into a new version of Super Saiyan. The symbiote Saiyan form is born, and the malice emanating off of them is reminiscent of Frieza. Venom Peter then reaches down into Cell's throat and rips out his vocal modulator, preventing the screech as Cell shoves them back with a key explosion. He's actually hurt. These symbiotes, these infected vile creatures, dare touch his perfection? Good thing the doctor left him a little parting gift. Cell then opens his tail as a red symbiote crawls out and bonds with him, transforming him into Cell Carnage Max. He becomes a pure bulldozer as Cell is completely different now. He's lost his attitude and has become Carnage incarnate. Him and Venom lock into an epic struggle with neither of them giving an inch. Cell sneers "Father" as Venom and Peter roar at him. Goku and Vegeta then begin attacking his back, but Carnage Cell has weapons all over. The symbiote fights the two of them while Cell is focused on Venom in front of him. A true perfect symbiotic bond. Gohan, Piccolo, Tien, Yamcha, and Krillin watch in awe as the battle continues in escalation. The energy emanating off the fighters is coming in waves. Trunks tells them that they need to find a way to depower Cell to make him lose his symbiote. Goku, Vegeta, and Peter could beat him if they remove his Carnage, but how? Raditz has had enough of this. The only way to beat Cell is to get his own symbiote power. He rushes into the battle, yelling at Peter to share the symbiote with him as well. Let him join Vegeta and Kakarot. Together, they can win. But Venom then locks eyes with Raditz and he only sees the man who killed his uncle as he abandons Carnage and begins attacking Raditz. Goku and Vegeta face off against Cell as Raditz falls to Venom. Peter roars, yelling, "You killed my uncle," and Raditz gets stabbed as his life energy begins fading, his eyes shocked as he says Peter's name. And then he does the unthinkable and apologizes, telling Peter he never said sorry for taking his uncle away from him. He understands what it must have been like, and this breaks through Venom's rage, enough for Peter to break a piece of himself off to venomize Raditz. Once Raditz is healed, the two join Goku and Vegeta as they begin battling Cell. Meanwhile, Trunks, Gohan, and the Z fighters were working on a plan. If the three of them can all do a Kaioken times 50 solar flare, it might be hot enough to burn the symbiote off of Cell. Trunks will use his brightest attack, a Final Flash, and Gohan and Piccolo will do a Kamehameha and Special Beam Cannon combo, and that should be enough to burn Carnage off of Cell. Venom, Goku, Vegeta, and Raditz all slam Cell into the ground as the Z Fighters all leap up and yell out, Solar Flare, Kaioken times 50. Focusing all on Cell as Gohan, Trunks, and Piccolo launch their beams, and the symbiote begins melting and dying, but even then they still have Perfect Cell to deal with. Venom webs Cell up into the air and flings him hard, while Raditz flies in with a massive knee to his stomach as Cell begins vomiting out Android 18. As he begins depowering, Goku and Vegeta fly in, uppercutting him, causing him to vomit out Android 17. And as Imperfect Cell flies through the air, the Z Fighters all charge their ki for a massive blast that destroys the Menace once and for all. Now this all seems well and good until Goku, Vegeta, and Raditz all begin losing themselves to the symbiote. Peter is already gone, lost in the rage, unable to find his way back to his humanity. They begin launching at the Z Fighters, and Trunks and Piccolo begin holding them off while Tiencha refuses joining the battle. They don't want to hurt their friends, but they need to get the suit off of them. Krillin then takes away Android 17 and 18 alongside Gohan. They might have anti-symbiote data in them. If anyone can help, it's Bulma. Bulma quickly grabs the androids and she scans them, finding out Jiro's secrets. Bulma also scans Peter's uploads of the hard drive for Perfect Cell. She's hoping between all of these things and all this information that there will be a way to save her friends. She might be able to upgrade the androids to fight the symbiote Saiyans. Goku, Vegeta, Raditz, and Peter try to venomize the Z Fighters, but they all quickly use ki shields to protect themselves. They try to do their solar flare techniques, but the symbiotes all watched and learned and avoid these attacks. They eventually break out of the Z Fighters' grasp and fly off into the city, causing mayhem. People get infected by the symbiotes everywhere, and it's a freaking infestation at this point. The whole world is going to be infected if they don't hurry. Trunks tries to help out, but all he sees are flashes of what his future was, except this time it's so much worse. A world without humans, only symbiotes that are mindless drones? What has he done? This is all his fault. If he hadn't time traveled. Bulma then asks Krillin if he's sure that she should do this, because these androids, they're the ones that killed the future. Krillin tells her if she doesn't do this, then there will be no future to protect. These androids, whether they like it or not, are the only hope they have. She adds in the modifications, sonic blasts, and frequencies that Cell use so they can remove and destroy the symbiotes once and for all. Bulma is now the only one capable of saving the world as she works diligently on Android 17 and 18. She logs into the Android system, opening them up, and begins changing the Spider Slayer protocol into the Symbiote Slayer protocol. 17 and 18 become faster and stronger, as well as being equipped with everything they need to destroy the symbiotes. Meanwhile, Krillin stands guard outside of Capsule Corp as the city's population falls, and Kami watches down in horror. All of the Z Fighters gather with Krillin to defend Capsule Corp. This is their last stand. If they fall here, this is it. Gohan knew Peter shouldn't have used the suit again. The malice Frieza left, coupled with the alien's own evil nature, has left him completely susceptible to the takeover. Now this is kind of adapting the Metal Cooler type of story with the infinite symbiotes. I hope you guys like that. And with Frieza's evil pushing the symbiotes, he's kinda back and kinda not. His desire for conquest is what's fueling the symbiotes as Goku, Vegeta, and Peter march on Capsule Corp. This is humanity's last chance. If Bulma can't complete the androids, they lose. But then Trunks realizes he has a time machine in his pocket. He can go back. But before he can think, the symbiotes are on them, and the final war for humanity's future has officially begun. They all decide to target Venom, as he seems to be the one giving them the instructions. But the Z Fighters don't really stand a chance against the symbiote Saiyan form. There's nothing they can really do. Gohan then steps in front of everybody. He will be the Earth's champion. He tells his friends to go protect Bulma and he'll hold them off as he transforms into Super Saiyan. He then lets out an agonizing cry as he powers up into a Kaioken. Boosting the Saiyan form to its absolute limits, he might stand a chance. He continues yelling multipliers ×2, ×3, ×4, eventually ending off with a ×5. The strain on his young body is overwhelming, but he knows he has to do this if the world is going to stand a chance. Gohan stands there, his energy crackling, his body straining against the Super Kaioken ×5. Krillin, Tien, and Yamcha all rush besides Bulma, guarding her while Trunks and Gohan face off against the symbiote army. Trunks refuses to let Gohan face this threat alone. He won't fail him again, and Trunks handles the symbiotes while Gohan squares off against Venom and the symbiote Saiyans. His Super Kaioken times 5 makes him incredibly fast, and he's able to dodge around the Saiyans' attacks. He begins landing blows on each of them, damaging them heavily. Venom continually tries to web him, but Gohan's aura is an inferno. Even hitting him hurts the symbiotes. For a moment in time there, he looks unstoppable. They don't stand a chance against him, but the thing is, the strain on Gohan's body is unsustainable. He first loses control over one of his arms after it snaps, but he doesn't stop fighting. Trunks quickly finishes off the symbiote horde, carefully making sure he doesn't accidentally kill any of the citizens before joining in with Gohan. Meanwhile, in the lab, Bulma works on soldering the androids shut as they begin coming back online. When they come to, they look like cornered, terrified animals. Bulma tries to ease them and tells them that she removed the bombs Gero put in them, as well as any directives he installed. She could have forced them to help via directives, but she didn't want to. She's not Gero. She clicks a button on her monitor showing a camera feed from outside. The battle against the symbiotes raging as Bulma tries to appeal to the androids' humanity. They were human once, and if they want to live life on this planet and live the life that Gero robbed them of, they need to help get rid of the symbiotes. Bulma tells them she equipped them with everything they need: sonic cannons with symbiote destroying frequencies, special flame ports to shoot explosively hot ki, barricades to hold them in. They are the ultimate symbiote hunters. Back outside, Gohan's power begins fading as the Kaioken strain becomes overwhelming. The symbiotes first overpower Trunks, and then he has to watch again in horror as Gohan is brutally beaten. Flashes of his future mentor shining through, but just before Gohan is finished, 17 and 18 arrive, landing in front of him. The sight is one to behold. In one timeline, these two were responsible for killing Gohan, and now they're responsible for saving him. They tell Gohan and Trunks to get back, that they'll take care of these pesky symbiotes once and for all. Venom roars as a surge of symbiotes rush in, but 17 and 18 simply put their arm up and destroy them with a simple sonic blast. The citizens unharmed and the symbiotes gone. One by one, they remove the symbiotes from each of the Saiyan, saving their lives, but when it's time to get the Venom off of Peter, it's impossible. Venom is fully fused with Peter at this point, and he refuses to separate. They'll have to kill him and Peter to get him off. Peter is effectively lost, but Gohan knows what he needs to bring him back, and he whispers something into Trunks' ear before collapsing. The androids have Venom cornered when suddenly Trunks descends down with Uncle Ben. 17 and 18 begin using their frequencies, and Uncle Ben tells Peter to fight, that this symbiote is just like those bullies before, trying to control Peter. He tells his nephew to use the power he earned to stop this monster once and for all, and Peter understands Uncle Ben is right. The symbiote is his responsibility, and he has the power to get rid of it. He begins tearing it off as the androids continue their sonic assault. Peter collapses half dead, but as the Venom symbiote begins to escape, Android 17 captures it in a barrier. Without a host, it's gonna perish. Uncle Ben lays next to Peter and pats him on the back. The Cell and Symbiote saga officially end with everyone recovering, and the Dragon Balls are used to wipe everyone's memories of the symbiote invasion. They think it's better if humans don't know that they were almost wiped out. Trunks returns to his timeline where he's able to use the data from the androids in the past to destroy 17 and 18 alongside future Peter. The future is in peace once again, for now. Now during the time skip to the Buu saga, a few interesting things go down. First, the Spider Hermit School has a new student, an up-and-coming prodigy whose skills impress so much he's chosen to receive the bite. Miles Morales. Peter actually begins training alongside Miles, and around 5 years into the time skip, Miles becomes Spider-Man as well. He's learning how to be a hero right alongside Peter. And he develops his own new style of web attacks and bioelectrical ki blasts. Peter has spent his time as a hero swinging through the city, stopping crime, and he's even gotten a job taking pictures himself for a newspaper. Bulma honestly doesn't understand because she's offered Peter a job in her lab with her, but Peter says he's okay where he is. Goku, Raditz, and Vegeta all continue pushing their training to the max, and they quickly realize there's a form beyond Super Saiyan. And once they achieve this ascended state, they've all aimed to go even further beyond, all three racing to become Super Saiyan 3. One funny thing that happens is that Raditz actually comes over to dinner at Peter's house. The awkwardness with Uncle Ben was palpable, but they all made peace as Raditz apologized again in that classic Saiyan way. Piccolo has also merged with Kami, gaining his full power, and Dende is the new guardian of Earth. Krillin ends up with 18, and Tien and Yamcha both continue training together just in case Tiencha is needed again. Goten is born, and him and Trunks form their own rivalry as it mirrors that of their fathers, and with Goku alive, Goten is trained a lot more. Now when it comes time for the World Martial Arts Tournament, it's actually Peter who finds out about it and suggests it to everyone. He grew up watching reruns of it. He's curious to see how his power stacks up against everyone's after all these years. His power as Spider-Man has grown tremendously. He never stopped training, but he wonders if he can keep pace with the Saiyans and their new forms. Immediately, Goku, Vegeta, and Raditz are eager, and this causes Tien and Yamcha to join, which causes 18, Krillin, and Piccolo to come as well. Gohan and Miles both enter the tournament, and the roster is absolutely packed. Because yeah, Miles and Gohan are around the same age here, and they attend high school together. And don't worry, Videl also attends, and they still have their adorable moments together. However, this time, Gohan unveils Super Saiyan 3, and then he stacks the Kaioken on top of it, and when the Majin warriors jump him, they get more than enough energy to revive Majin Buu. They rush away as Peter, Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan fly in after them with the Supreme Kais. Raditz stays behind to protect everyone else while Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, Piccolo all continue the tournament. The Supreme Kai explains the Majin plan, and by the time they land, Deborah has already awoken Majin Buu, and just like canon, he has turned into chocolate and eaten. Buu destroys everything but Babidi, and now they face off against the Majin warrior. Now let's be real, he doesn't really stand a chance here. We have Gohan as Super Saiyan 3 Kaioken, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta on top of Spider-Man. Spidey may be the weakest one here, but his heart is something the Supreme Kai resonates with. His determination and fierceness inspires hope. Spidey quickly webs up Babidi and KOs him while the Saiyans fight Buu, and Buu again doesn't stand a chance, and when Peter webs him, he focuses his anger on Peter. Vegeta then lunges in, kicking Buu upwards while Goku spikes him back down, and Gohan hits him with the sidekick. He's being juggled around like a pink bowling ball, and Peter launches a web Kamehameha as the Saiyans all focus their beams and turn Buu into dust. Supreme Kai is absolutely shook. What the hell just happened? How did these mortals defeat Majin Buu so easily? It doesn't make sense. The Saiyans all depower, and Goku says they should head back to the tournament. Maybe it's not over yet and they can still fight there. Again, Supreme Kai and Kibito are just bugging out. How the hell could these guys want to fight again already after just saving the universe? Peter chuckles and says Miles just texted him. The final match is beginning soon. It's going to be a battle royale by the looks of it. If they hurry back, they might be able to join. Now, with the tournament still on during the Buu saga, a battle royale is put in place. This time fighting is Peter, Goku, Gohan, Miles, Raditz, Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, 18, and Mr. Satan. Now, obviously, the world champ, Mr. Satan, has to bow out. His stomach hurts, so he recuses himself from fighting. This is an absolute winner-takes-all chaotic brawl, and unfortunately, the least experienced fighter here is Miles. Krillin solar flares him, and 18 knocks him out the ring before he can even understand what's happening. Tien and Yamcha both end up teaming up against Raditz, who quickly turns Super Saiyan. However, the two are strong enough to hold him off, surprising him, so he goes into Super Saiyan 3. Tien and Yamcha push their respective Kaiokens, but it's still not enough. Maybe if they were Tiencha, they would have had a chance, but they get knocked out. Peter faces off against Krillin and 18, who try their Solar Flare KO technique, but Peter's Spider Sense is much stronger than Miles. Even blind, he's able to counter and dodge, and he ends up webbing Krillin out the ring, slamming him into 18, knocking her out as well. Gohan, Raditz, and Vegeta all begin battling amongst themselves as Peter joins in, strategically trying to ring out one of them. Goku is also straight up in the middle of this, not giving a single care in the world. He's having a blast. Peter ends up getting a drop on Raditz out of everybody. He webs him up and then swings him into Gohan, who reflexively punches him, knocking him out of the ring. He's not at Super Saiyan 3 level, so Peter's using his smarts to keep ahead, using Gohan's strength against Raditz rather than his own. Peter stands against Gohan, Vegeta, and Goku, and his plan is to quickly knock them out after making them gas themselves out. Super Saiyan 3 is a huge strain on them, and Gohan is the least experienced Super Saiyan 3 user. and Peter is able to knock him out. However, Spidey then quickly focuses on Vegeta, but Vegeta is much smarter to fall for these simple tricks. He faints being exhausted, and this allows Peter to web his arm. Vegeta then yanks Peter to him and clotheslines him at full speed, and at Super Saiyan 3, Vegeta is way too fast for Peter to fully dodge. Peter is sent flying out of bounds, and it is just Vegeta and Goku left. And it's ultimately Vegeta's wits that have him win the battle, as he trained Super Saiyan 3 stamina much more than Goku. As of right now, he's the strongest, but Goku is right there. However, something about Peter impresses Supreme Kai, and he's by far the greatest example of mortal heroism in this world. They ask him to join them on the planet of the Kais, and they even mention they feel some otherworldly presence within him, a power yet to be unlocked. Peter decides to go, and Aunt May and Uncle Ben let him, and Peter officially hands the reins of Spider-Man to Miles, but trusting him to protect the Earth in his absence. On the world of the Kais, Peter is immediately fascinated, learning all about the Dragon Ball world hierarchy. The Kais want to learn of his powers, and they also want to find out about his spider bite. This sounds like the power of the Weaver, the former spider god of Universe 12. But his universe was erased. How could he be involved in this? They suggest to Peter that his power is not just biological, but also mystical, as they begin to understand he resonates with the form of God Ki. He's like a spider totem, ringing uniquely, tying him to the world around him. This is what fuels his spider sense as well. They begin training him with the Z-Sword and in Kai techniques, and the Kai allows him to go back and forth to the Earth. One day during the break between Z and Super, Goku is visiting Peter, and of course through some rigorous training shenanigans, they end up breaking the Z-Sword, freeing the Elder Kai. He thanks Peter and Goku and offers to unlock their potential, making them more powerful than they ever thought. Goku declines, realizing he's gonna have to sit around for so long, and he gets sent back home before Peter decides to do this. The ritual goes off without a hitch and without interruptions, and as with the Weaver being the source of Peter's power, he effectively has the potential of a god of destruction. Peter's aura changes as he figures out how to tap into his ultimate form, and Goku and the Saiyans try to help him, but he's never transformed before, so he doesn't know what it feels like to trigger the transformation. And while his strength in base has improved immensely, he's still not able to access the form. He just doesn't know how to trigger this response. Now this is what he's working on as the Super Saga begins, starting with Beerus. The world is relatively peaceful, but little does everyone know Lord Beerus is on his way to Earth to find Saiyans. Peter and the Kais sense the God of Destruction's energy and his location, so Peter quickly rushes to the Earth. Goku, Vegeta, and Raditz are all at Bulma's party, having a three-way sparring match as Beerus descends down with Whis. Peter arrives quickly and shows respect, as does Vegeta, and Beerus and Whis ask if they know anything about a Super Saiyan god. And to Beerus' disappointment, they all shake their heads no. Beerus is annoyed, but then he looks at Peter and says he's not a Saiyan, yet he has God Ki. He begins poking around him. How does a mortal come to possess God Ki? And Peter says he's been training with the Supreme Kais, but he's not a god. Beerus is annoyed. Peter seems to be holding back his power, and Peter then tries to say yes, he has his potential unlocked, but he never figured out how to actually use it. Whis uses his staff to analyze Peter's history, showing Beerus, the Weaver? He thought that pompous ass was destroyed. He always hated his self-righteousness. He quickly lashes out and demands Peter face him with his true power, and Peter panics, lunging and hitting Beerus, but it's a flea bite. He's not in his ultimate form. Beerus begins loading up a giant ball of destruction as he dispatches everyone with ease. Transform or die, Peter, he demands. Goku then yells the power comes in response to a need, not a desire. Uncle Ben's words once again ring out, with great power comes great responsibility, and Peter flukes upwards, propelled by his duties, and he finally transforms into the ultimate Spider-Man. His power rivals that of a god, and he cannot believe it. He destroys the destruction ball as him and Beerus begin their clash of titans. Beerus feels echoes of the Weaver's powers, and all of Spider-Man's abilities are enhanced 1,000 times over. His spider sense is now akin to the likes of UI Omen. His body dodging and weaving effortlessly, Sonic swaying all over the place. And this does make Beerus happy. He's satisfied. He hasn't gone in this hard in forever. He eventually knocks Peter out cold before descending back to the ship. He's intrigued, and he demands Peter join him on his planet, and Whis also extends this invite to the Saiyans, telling him he can make them Super Saiyan gods. And all of them, having witnessed Peter's newfound power, agree. Raditz, Goku, Vegeta, and Peter all go to Beerus' world. Gohan decides to take his own path along with Piccolo. Miles is training along them as well. They're all going to do their own thing in this. On Beerus' planet, the three Saiyans focus in learning God Ki, while Peter learns about the Master Weaver, a benevolent god of destruction. He works with Whis to attune his spider sense, refining it with the Ultra Instinct technique, something his mortal body is having difficulty adapting to, and he begins forming his own style, something Goku's working on in the manga right now. As time progresses, when it's time for the Resurrection F saga, it doesn't happen because the Earth is too heavily guarded and the Dragon Balls are safely secured in Capsule Corp. No one is going to find them and steal them. So when the Frieza Force tries to pull a sneaky, they're destroyed easily. However, the Universe 6 tournament still does happen, and Universe 7's team is going to be Peter, Goku, Vegeta, Raditz, Miles, and Gohan. Gohan's worked on something new, furthering his Saiyan forms, while Miles has enhanced his bioelectricity, allowing it to amplify his body's ability. Now, the tournament is going to be different because the Saiyans only have Super Saiyan God at this point. Peter's Spider Instinct technique is still being refined and it drains him immensely, so it's anyone's game at this point. It's really not, I'm just building dramatic tension. Now, the first one up to bat is Raditz, and he easily dismantles all of the Universe 6 fighters. He had a lot of fun beating up Frost the most. But now it's time to face off against Cabba, and he demands the young Saiyan go super, and Cabba doesn't know how. So much like Vegeta taught Raditz in canon, Raditz teaches him. However, this is more of a little brother, big brother relationship. He never really had a chance to be a big brother to Kakarot, so this is him kind of healing his inner self. Emotional growth for Raditz, we love to see it. He defeats Cabba with pride, but when it comes down to hit, he quickly knocks Raditz to his feet. Raditz responds by going into God mode, but it doesn't do much because Hit is insane. Even gods don't stand a chance against Hit's time skip, and he's quickly eliminated. No one knows what's happening. And the next person up is Miles. What the hell is he gonna do against Hit? What can he do? Hit is stronger, faster, and his time skip blows already have Miles reeling. One gut punch and Miles is ready to quit. But Peter tells Miles, Spider-Man never quits, and to focus on himself, use his brains if his brawn isn't working. Because Spider-Man always finds a way. Then Miles summons all of his new bioelectricity and creates a barrier, so when Hit time skip and hits Miles, it actually damages him. And this catches Hit off guard for the moment, and it looks like the fight is about to turn around. Miles lunges in, but Hit overpowers his field and KOs him. He commends Miles that was a smart trick, but he can't overcome his time skip enough. Cheap throws aren't enough in the real world, and Miles simply lacks the strength. Goku and Vegeta are up next, but this time with only Super Saiyan God, they can't activate enough power to outspeed and maneuver Hit's time skip. He is seemingly unstoppable, and Champa is salivating all the earth food he's gonna get to eat. He's out here planning meals while Beerus is about to blow a gasket. It's now Peter's turn, it's up to him, and Hit time skips, but Peter's spider sense is so heightened at this point, he auto-dodges the attack. However, his reflexes aren't fast enough to land a hit on Hit, and even when he does manage to land a counter, he's not strong enough to do much damage. It's a similar issue to what Goku had during his battle with Kefla in the beginning. Peter then transforms into his ultimate form to gain the power he needs to do the damage, but it's still not enough. His ki flares in and out of a UI type form. It's like a step below Omen, but the godly ki allows him to land blows on Hit. He pulses in and out of this form, and the two titans begin going toe to toe. Suddenly, the battle seems winnable. And just as their match reaches its apex, Grand Zeno arrives to the field, and he's curious and interested about this. A battle between universes? Why didn't they invite him? This idea of a multiversal tournament amongst all the existing universes is proposed by Goku, who says if there's fighters even stronger than Hit out there, he wants to fight them all, and this is going to serve as motivation for them to all get so much stronger. Zeno leaves, and Peter and Hit continue their match, but Hit has the edge this time because Peter's stamina is getting completely depleted. If he could have tapped into the true essence of Ultra Instinct, he would have won, but Hit knocks him out the ring. Hit didn't go off unscathed though. He is tired, and now it is Gohan's time to step up. Gohan smirks and immediately goes into his new form, the primal power of a Saiyan he discovered all on his own. Super Saiyan 4, the peak of Saiyan potential. And for once in my what ifs, it's actually going to be called Super Saiyan 4 because everybody has Super Saiyan 3 at this point. He turns red, growing fur. This form allows him to completely overpower Hit. The raw power emanating from Gohan is unreal, and Goku, Vegeta, and Raditz are all in awe. They've all experienced his insane potential at one point, but seeing him at the pinnacle of strength is insane. This fuels their drive even more. Now we all know multiversal peeping Tom Zamasu has been watching this tournament from afar, but this time the future arc is going to be completely different. He sees Peter as an affront to all of creation and goes to learn about him, finding out that his power comes from a dead universe's destroyer, the Weaver. How dare this mortal defile God Key? He is not worthy. And in his research about the dead universe, he found out that the Weaver had a similar apprentice to himself, Null. After learning about the time rings from Goku, he realizes there's alternate realities out there in which the Weaver and Null may be alive. He kills Goku and uses the time ring to visit an alternate version of the Weaver's universe. Zamasu introduces himself to Null and emboldens him, having him kill his master just like Zamasu did. Null then raids the treasures that have been long dead in the main universe, and the greatest of all is a Necro Sword, a living weapon that allowed them to launch their reign of terror across the multiverse. Zamasu brings him back to the main timeline, but he's not done just yet. They launch their Project Zero Mortal, and once they get to future Trunks' timeline on Earth, Zamasu has a gift for future Peter. He has Null unite him with a symbiote, creating a new version of Peter. Spider Carnage is born, fueled by future Peter's anguish and losses. Now in the Super Dragon Balls, Null made a wish for the Necro Sword to be permanently bonded to him and him alone, while Zamasu wished for immortality. Null, Spider Carnage, and Zamasu begin their reign of terror on Trunks' future, and he has no choice but to rush back in time. Fueled by desperation, he crash lands in Capsule Corp, and when he comes to, he's surrounded by Peter, Goku, Raditz, and Vegeta. They ask him what's going on, and his eyes are in sheer panic, and he tells them about the three menaces that arrived into his timeline, what they did to his future Peter, what they did to his world. It's ungodly, it's inhumane. He needs their help to stop them, and there's no way he's strong enough to defeat the three of them alone. Peter sends out the spider signals to Gohan, and Miles wants to join in as well, but Peter tells him he needs to stay here with Piccolo and the rest of them, because if they fail, they'll be the last line of defense. Now, during the training after the Universe 6 tournament, Goku, Vegeta, and Raditz have been pushing their new forms to the max. Inspired by Gohan, they reached a new level. Super Saiyan 4 stacked upon Super Saiyan Blue. It is the perfect fusion of the godhood and the Saiyan's true potential. This blue beast form is the ultimate pinnacle of Saiyan strength, and they can't maintain the form at all right now, but they can use it in bursts. Bulma uses Trunks' time machine to create a bigger ship for the Saiyans to all travel comfortably into the future, and hopefully they'll be enough to destroy the menaces and save the world. They land and the city is a barren wasteland, the survivors barely hanging on as they sense a monstrous energy coming from near Capsule Corp. Zamasu, Null, and Spider Carnage are raiding Bulma's lab as Spider Carnage is trying to create a multiversal travel device beyond the constraints of the time rings. They'll be able to cleanse every reality in existence. Trunks readies his sword against Null, who brings out his latest puppet, Bulma. She's now possessed by the symbiote Scream, and she laughs at Trunks, calling him pathetic for running to his father, and Vegeta is horrified to see his wife like this. Null chuckles as he commands her to attack them. Vegeta and Trunks begin battling Scream, while Peter rushes in to fight Null alongside Goku, while Raditz and Gohan focus on Zamasu. Spider Carnage continues tinkering away while the battle happens. Trunks and Vegeta's battle is absolutely relentless. They're holding back, not wanting to hurt future Bulma at all, and they try to reach her through the symbiote, but her screams rip their earbuds apart, leaving them bleeding, as she continues lashing out at them as she roars at Vegeta. Remember, this is future Bulma. Vegeta was never a kind man to her. He died as his early android self, not caring about Bulma, and she calls him on it. You never loved me, thwack. You never loved Trunks, thwack. You're just a monster who cares about his own selfish gain, his own power, thwack, thwack, thwack. She beats him into the ground mercilessly and then focuses on Trunks, berating him, saying she never loved him. He reminds her of his deadbeat father. He's better off dead, just like him. And she launches a spike aimed for his heart as Trunks is frozen in fear, but Vegeta dives in front, taking the blow for Trunks. This act momentarily shocks Bulma out of it, and she begins gaining control of the symbiote. And Vegeta tells Trunks to reach in his pocket the anti-symbiote bombs Bulma made. Use them. Now remember, Trunks told them in the past about Null and Spider Carnage, so they came prepared. Bulma gains control long enough for Trunks to throw the shockwave grenade at her, removing the symbiote. Now Vegeta is down. Thankfully they have Senzus, but Goku has them and he's busy fighting Null. Peter goes Ultimate while Goku goes Super Saiyan God, wanting to conserve his energy. The two try and hold off the monster, but the Necrosword is too much, and once they get hit by it, it begins decaying all the way to their heart, nearly killing them, and they're barely able to get the Senzu beans in them to save themselves. They might have been able to take him if he didn't have that damn blade. Meanwhile, Raditz and Gohan are actually having an easy time messing with Zamasu. He's weaker than all of them, but what the hell, he keeps coming back. Null assists Zamasu as he knocks Raditz and Gohan back into the rest of the Saiyans and Peter. Spider Carnage lets out a menacing chuckle as he's finally able to open a portal into a different dimension. However, what comes out shocks them all as Spider Carnage is punched in the face and sent flying back into the wall. Another spider person steps through, the Scarlet Spider, followed by another Spider-Man, Kane Parker, and they join the battle. Multi-dimensional spider warriors who felt Peter's spider sense from across universes, and Spider Carnage's plans threaten the Great Web, and they cannot have that. They help Peter up and the three Spider-Men all turn ultimate. This is the power of the Great Weaver, and the Saiyans rally behind them as they get prepared for round 2. The final battle against Null, Zamasu, and Spider Carnage begins in a chaotic clash of spider powers. The three Spider-Men lunge into battle against Null, and the Saiyans divide and conquer against Spider Carnage and Zamasu. Trunks and Vegeta focus their energy on Spider Carnage, using the shockwaves and text pass Bulma gave them to attack. While Goku and Raditz put the smackdown on Zamasu, their power is far superior to his, but he keeps coming back to that damn immortality. Null is by far the greatest threat, and it's because of that freaking Necrosword. The Scarlet Spider jumps in, flying quickly to disarm Null in a brutal way, but once he severs the sword, it instantly fuses back to Null, revealing the inseparable bond that he wished for. Kane and Ben begin battling hard while Peter webs Null's face, a classic spider technique. Honestly, probably the most said sentence in this What If. They continue exchanging blow after blow, and they manage to stagger the would-be god, but still, his sword remains a threat. Even when it looks like Null's on the ropes, his sword reacts like it has a mind of its own. You could say it has its own spider sense in a way. Null gets angered. How dare these mortals lay a hand on him? Do you know how many gods this sword has killed? The Necrosword is the greatest weapon in the multiverse. How dare they think they stand a chance against it? His fury has no bounds as he lunges in, and as he goes for a kill shot against one of the Spider-Men, another portal opens up. Spider-Man 2099 rushes in and kicks Null in the face, knocking him backwards. Kane and Ben immediately chuckle, saying, "It's about damn time, Miguel." Peter looks on in awe. How many spider people are there in this multiverse? How many multiverses are there? So many questions. And now, as the writer of this is when I say, it doesn't matter, it's chaos, but if you want a quick explanation, they exist outside the DB finite multiverse in a different section of the universe, all interconnected in some magical science-y way. Basically, the DB multiverse is 12 universes all in one bubble, but within those universes there's different timelines and branches and such. And throughout those branch timelines there's different universes, whole other multiverses, all existing in this weird explosive bubble. Now, our Peter realizes that Vegeta and Trunks need help as Spider Carnage is fully bonded with the symbiote. Much like how he was with Venom, but this goes even further beyond. The only thing that broke him out back then was Uncle Ben, but Uncle Ben has been dead in this timeline. And he doesn't have enough time to rush in and grab his own Uncle Ben. What does he do? And as he looks at his spider doppelgangers, he realizes and he rushes to the multiverse portal device, and doing some Peter Parker magic, he opens a portal, allowing a version of Uncle Ben to step through. He screams at Vegeta and Trunks to stop, to not kill his future self, as Uncle Ben approaches the bloodthirsty Spider Carnage, hoping to reach his nephew inside. Uncle Ben? Spider Carnage asks, his voice augmented by the symbiote, the bond too fully formed, he can't take it off without dying. But still, despite this, Uncle Ben touches the monstrous face of his nephew, and utters, "This is his power now, and what does that mean, Peter?" And Spider Carnage whimpers and breaks down, and he says it means it's his responsibility. Gaining the strength he needs, he gains control over the symbiote, and he knows what he has to do. He tells our Peter that the only way to beat Null and Zamasu is to trap them in the void, a dead universe in which nothing exists, and Spider Carnage knows just how to do it, and he knows just the right one. He grabs the multiverse device and begins overloading it. He's gonna send them to Universe 12, the ones that Zeno destroyed in the Prime timeline. He just needs time to locate it, because if he's wrong, they'll be able to return. Goku and Raditz push Zamasu near Null with the help of Vegeta and Trunks, and Peter covers Spider Carnage as they rush at Null. They launch the multiverse device and a mini black hole opens. The Saiyans all transform into their blue beast form while the Spider-Man all charge their ultimate forms. They're gonna launch one giant web attack and Spider Carnage rushes in, tying his two former allies up as he screeches, "Blast them in, now!" He's sacrificing himself, holding them down while the attack begins, pushing them into the vortex. And just before the hole closes, Spider Carnage's last words are, "Forgive me." The three of them are now locked in an infinite dimension of nothing, with no way to escape. Their time rings are useless because nothing exists, so time doesn't exist either. In a way, Zamasu and Null got what they wanted. It's their perfect utopia, free from mortals. They're gonna live their days floating around the endless nothing. Back in the broken future, Peter, Ben, Kane, and Miguel all take a moment to do the Spider-Man pointing meme. Vegeta approaches and says, "Who the hell are they?" And Miguel says they're a team of spider warriors tasked with protecting the multiverse. Their powers all came from the dead destroyer, the Weaver, and their goal is to safeguard the current multiverse, but none of them exist within this multiverse. They're outside, on the fringes, in the webs. And Vegeta's first question is, are there Saiyans where they come from? And Ben chuckles and says no, but there are Asgardians, and he'd love for Vegeta to meet Thor. He's also a battle-hungry warrior. Vegeta quirks his eyebrow, curious, perhaps one day they will do battle for greatest warrior race. Miguel offers Peter a chance to join in, but Peter says his responsibility is to his home universe, especially with the upcoming Tournament of Power. Will any of them be joining? Kane says he wishes, but since they technically don't have a home universe, they can't participate and they'll end up watching it on GodTube. Miguel and them bid them farewell and return back to their time. Or multiverse, who knows. The future is officially safe once again, but the devastation is palpable, and with no future Peter left, it's just Bulma and Trunks. Current Peter goes into the lab with Bulma, and with their combined genius, they find a location of new Namek. Perhaps they can restore this world with its Dragon Balls. The Super Dragon Balls of this dimension may be gone, but maybe they'll be able to make new Earth ones once they get to Namek. It's not much, but it's enough hope for Bulma and Trunks to cling on to. Maybe they can save their world. Peter sends the Uncle Ben variant back with a hug, and they all return back to the present. The future saga ends with the final chapter of the story beginning the Tournament of Power. And the day of the tournament arrives, and the new roster for Universe 7 is Goku, Peter, Vegeta, Raditz, Piccolo, Gohan, Yamcha, Tien, Krillin, and Miles. Peter has been drilling with Whis to master his version of Ultra Instinct, specifically with his stamina, so he could utilize the form with his ultimate. The Saiyans have been working on pushing their blue beast forms to the maximum, while Gohan worked on infusing God Ki into Super Saiyan 4. Goku doesn't get UI in the story because the path of power he chose is more focused on raw force versus refined technique. And if you want to see a father-son Ultra Instinct combo, then check out my what if of Goku brings his parents back. It's one of my earlier ones. The tournament begins largely the same, with Goku, Raditz, and Vegeta breaking off on their own, while Peter stays back, providing support for Gohan's plan of sticking together. Tien and Yamcha wait for the right time to fuse, considering they only have one shot and a time limit. Now, the inciting incident is when Caulifla ends up battling with Raditz, who gets flustered, a female Saiyan. She begins attacking him, and Raditz is actually enjoying this. He's totally gonna marry this woman after this. Raditz regains his composure and flirts the only way a Saiyan knows how, and he gut punches her. Unfortunately for him, this causes Kale to go berserk, and she snaps at Raditz. Raditz quickly goes God, and even then it's not enough as she walks through his attacks, and universes continue falling as Vegeta and Goku join in to help. And the three Saiyans together manage to overpower Kale, but they fail to knock her out as Caulifla steps in front. They quickly fall against the Saiyans and they need to fuse into Kefla. Now this gets the attention of everyone as the three Blue Beast Saiyans begin to battle the broken fusion. However, Kale didn't learn to master her abilities yet, so the fusion is a little bit more unstable. And while the battle is epic, ultimately the three Blue Beast Saiyans knock her out the ring. But this epic showing has consequences because Universe 9 decides to press the advantage while the Saiyans are fatigued. And this prompts Gohan and the rest of Universe 7 to step up. Jiren leads the assault, but Peter manages to dodge his attacks. Whis sees it coming as the gods begin to stand up, and Peter transforms into his version of Ultra Instinct. A perfect blend of spider sense and the divine technique, and with his body already used to moving on its own, Ultra Instinct doesn't have the strain on him anymore. While Peter battles against Jiren, Universe 7 goes all out. Super Saiyan 4 Gohan, Tien Sha, Kaioken Krillin, and Orange Piccolo. Universe 9 stands no chance, and this includes Toppo and Dispo, and with no Frieza, Toppo never becomes a god of destruction. Universe 7's years of battling together have made them a well-oiled machine. Universe 7 stands guard against any third-partiers, while Peter allows the Saiyans to recover. And once they rejoin, Jiren goes all out, and while he can land blows on Raditz, Goku, and Vegeta, he still can't touch Peter, and this causes him to get furious and sloppy, opening him up for counters. His anger fueling his moves, but distracting him. Peter webs him up and the Saiyans continue breaking through his key barriers and they continually assault him, weakening him further and further. Jiren launches a massive death ball at Peter with all of his power, but Peter web slings the ball back at Jiren and he web slingshots forward. He tackles Jiren as his own attack lands and blows him up in an epic sacrifice play for his friends and his universe. And with Peter's sacrifice and Jiren gone, Universe 7 is inspired and they go on to dominate the rest of the tournament. And when it comes time for the wish, Goku is named the MVP with the most eliminations. And he gives Peter the wish, and the words "with great power and great responsibility" ring truer than they ever have in his life. It's like everything he's lived up through and went through has been for this single moment. Peter wishes the universes back and everyone begins cheering him on. Raditz is the most excited. He's definitely going to marry Caulifla. And that's what I think would happen if Spider-Man was born in the Dragon Ball Z world. Thank you so much for everybody who's been tuning in week by week for the What If. The full series will be out next week, and that one's probably going to get way more views because internet. And I think the next What If is definitely going to be Goku in Mortal Kombat. And hopefully that one will start airing by the end of this month, February 28th, and it'll run all the way through March. I may start doing more vlog posts and some test posts here and there. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe for more. Peace.